On a snowy day with freezing temperatures, I discovered the car battery was dead when I was about to pick up my son James from daycare. So I had to borrow my husband's car to fetch him. On our way home, James suddenly remarked, "Mom, something's weird with the car." Puzzled, I questioned, "What do you mean?" I could see he was genuinely concerned. Even though everything felt normal to me, he was just adamant. "Just pull over. The car sounds different. I'm scared." Seeing the worry in his eyes, I hesitated for a moment, but then pulled over right before hitting the mountain road. "What's up with the sound? Sounds okay to me." "Can we check the car, Mom?" I figured that showing him everything was okay would put his mind at ease. So I sighed, and we both stepped out. What I saw next was completely unexpected. I'm Naomi, and I'm 35. I'm a working mom living in a rural area. By working, I mean I own an orchard. I took over the family business that my dad used to run when I was in my 20s. Our business, which specializes in high-quality fruits for gifts and also makes related products, is doing really well. The local community respects us, and I've always had good relations with neighboring farmers, leading a good life. My husband, Robert, has an online store that sells agricultural items. He's originally from San Francisco and reached out to my company to include our fruits on his website. That's how we first met. Having grown up in the countryside, city boy Robert was a breath of fresh air. We hit it off and started dating. After a year of a long-distance relationship, out of the blue, he proposed. "Naomi, let's get married." Ecstatic, I answered, "I'm thrilled, but I can't leave my business to move to San Francisco." "No worries. I can work from here. I'll move. So, will you marry me?" Touched by his dedication, I said yes, and we tied the knot. We settled in a house my dad gifted us. A year into our blissful marriage, I discovered I was expecting. With Robert's unwavering support, I had our son. We named him James, and he's now 5. He's a total car enthusiast, always collecting toy cars and watching car clips. I go to the office every day, while Robert handles his website from home. His business has been booming, so we've had a steady income. Work was good, our bond was tight, and our son was flourishing. Everything seemed perfect. But slowly, things began to shift. Citing work commitments, Robert started being away from home more. He used to always be home, but now he'd be out late and gone over weekends, saying it was for work, often leaving James by himself. One day, we had promised James a trip to a motor show he'd been excited about. In the morning, I reminded Robert, "Don't forget, we're taking James to the motor show. Get ready." But scratching his head, he said, "I can't. I've got work." Frustrated, I snapped, "It's Sunday. What about James?" He argued, "I need to lock in a new supplier. It's for the business. What do you expect?" "It's not right for James. Can't it wait?" As we bickered, James, who'd been engrossed in his toys, began to tear up.
Dad, aren't we all going today?
James, I have urgent work.
James cried.
But I wanted us all to go.
Clearly irritated, Robert retorted.
Stop crying about it. Go with your mom.
You shouldn't talk to him like that. Holding James close, I tried to soothe him. Robert, clearly frustrated, went to his room. Sweetie, it'll just be you and me at the motor show. We'll be fine. Robert had never been this short with James. What was happening? Nevertheless, I prioritized our son. So, I took him to the motor show. Just us two. On the way back from the motor show, James, who had been a bit grumpy before, lit up with joy seeing his favorite cars, which helped me relax a bit. Watching him snooze with a wary face in the back seat, I decided I needed to have a heart-to-heart with my husband. Pulling into the driveway that evening, I noticed his car was missing. After tucking James into bed, Robert finally came home. Hey, I said, trying to be cheerful, but he seemed off.
You're still up?
I wanted to talk about today. You've been putting work first and sidelining the family. It really got to James today.
It's work. What do you want me to do?
Before I could respond, he handed me an envelope. Curious, I asked, "What's this?"
A buddy at an insurance company kept pushing for us to get a policy. I signed us all up. Payments start next month.
Confused, I said, "Don't we already have insurance?"
You can never have too much insurance.
I opened it up to check out the details. This policy is super comprehensive, even for James.
If anything happens to us, it'll be good to have a cushion. It's for James too.
Huh. While I was frustrated he hadn't discussed the insurance with me, I was somewhat comforted that he was considering our family's future. But his attitude didn't get better. In fact, it went downhill. We barely talked. He grew distance from James. Our arguments escalated, and the atmosphere at home became strained. What had caused this shift in him? The uncertainty kept nagging at me. One day, at work, during a break, I sat with Andrea, a new hire from the past year. Trying to make small talk, I asked, "Hey, Andrea, how's the job treating you?" She seemed a bit on edge and replied, "Hi, thanks to you, it's been good so far." I chatted to ease the mood, and out of the blue, she asked, "Your husband's in IT, right?" "Yeah, he runs an e-commerce site for farming goods." "I see." After a brief pause, she ventured, "Do you guys get along?" Caught off guard, I managed to chuckle. "Of course, we're good. Why?" "I've been mulling over marriage and just wondered how it is." She seemed distracted for a moment before diving back into her work. Her comments left me feeling uneasy. Time flew as I juggled work and raising James. The weather shifted and winter hit in full force. One particularly cold morning, despite the chill, I had errands. Like always, I took James to daycare, driving about 30 minutes through some hilly terrain. Later, I parked at our house and headed to work. Finishing up, I stepped outside to a darkening sky and snow beginning to blanket everything. Gotta grab James ASAP, I thought. Back home, Robert was holed up in his room working. When I tried to start my car to retrieve James, it didn't budge. Probably a dead battery. I wonder how that happened. Panicking, I knocked on Robert's door. I need a hand.
What's up?
I quickly explained to the puzzled husband. My car is not starting. Maybe a dead battery. Can you pick up James? I'm cutting it close.
Really? I'm swamped right now.
But he needs to be picked up. He cut me off, smiling.
Take my car then.
Oh, thank you. You're a lifesaver. I grabbed the keys and hopped into his SUV. Typically, I drive the hilly route, but that day, due to some errands at the post office, I decided to swing through town instead. When I reached the daycare, it was pitch black outside. I said hi to the caregiver and picked up James. As we strolled side by side to the dim parking lot, his eyes sparkled with excitement.
Oh, are we taking Dad's car today?
Yep, but I'm behind the wheel. You're a big fan of Dad's car, huh?
Yeah, it's so cool.
We playfully bantered back and forth as I strapped him in and started the car. A few minutes into the drive, he suddenly blurted out,
Mom, there's something weird with the car.
Oh, what do you mean? I could see he was genuinely concerned. Even though everything felt normal to me, he was adamant.
Just pull over. The car sounds different. I'm scared.
Seeing the worry in his eyes, I hesitated for a moment, but then pulled over right before hitting the mountain road. What's up with the sound? Sounds okay to me.
The tires sound different, not like usual. Can we check?
Figuring he'd calm down once he saw the tires were just fine, I sighed, and we both hopped out for a look. To my shock, I saw the tires were regular ones, worn to the nub. Driving with these on our snow-covered icy roads was downright dangerous. The thought of driving our usual icy mountain route with these tires sent chills through me. We had been so lucky to get to the daycare without any issues.
Mom, these aren't the tires Dad had on before,
he commented, looking up at me with wide eyes. I recalled Robert mentioning he'd switched to winter tires on his car. The pieces clicked together in my mind. Parking the car in a nearby lot, I called for a cab. I made one more call while waiting, and then James and I headed home. Walking in, I saw Robert in the hallway, looking utterly shocked.
How'd you guys get back?
His words confirmed my growing suspicions. So, it was him. James, go to your room until dinner, okay? I told my son softly, and he hurried upstairs. In the living room, I faced off with Robert. He looked pale and asked, "Why do you look surprised? Was it that shocking to see us return safely?"
I don't know what you're talking about.
But I cut him off. James noticed the car wasn't right. Thankfully, we avoided potential disaster. And luckily, I didn't drive our usual mountain route to the daycare today.
What are you even saying?
He said, playing innocent. My frustration boiled over. Stop playing games. Those worn-out tires you put on the car could have killed us both. He tried to mask his surprise and said,
What? I don't know anything about that.
Deciding it was time to lay my cards on the table, I snapped. Oh, really? Then explain this. I thrust my phone screen in front of him. On it were clear pictures of him getting cozy with a younger woman, kissing, holding each other close at some place. The photos even had captions like, My sweetheart will be tying the knot soon.
What are these?
One of my staff members is acquainted with your girlfriend. Apparently, she posted these on her private social media.
You've got to be kidding me.
It turned out that Andrea, the young coworker I'd chatted with recently, was the one I'd reached out to while waiting for the taxi. Our chat had raised some flags, prompting me to seek any information she might have. She hesitated, but then shared that her old school friend was the one dating my husband and has shared these pics online. Robert, looking completely thrown off, muttered,
I didn't think she'd ever do that.
I pushed him. Now, spill it. What were you up to? He finally started talking. The lady at the tire shop, where he'd swapped out the tires, was his side chick. He wanted to be with her, but didn't want the financial burden of alimony. If something happened to James and me, he'd cash in on the life insurance and inherit the business. They had schemed together, putting those worn-out tires on his car and messing with my car's battery, ensuring I'd use his SUV. So, you even had your eyes on the life insurance and our business. With a desperate expression, Robert pleaded,
Naomi, I'm so sorry. It was a stupid mistake.
Repulsed, I shouted, Are you kidding me? I can never forgive this. The cops already know, and I'm getting a divorce. I don't ever want to see you again, you jerk.
Please, Naomi.
Oh, and I'll let all the local farmers know what you did. I bet they'll think twice before working with your website again. Good luck with that. Right then, the sound of sirens grew closer. I handed him over to the authorities. I'd recorded our entire chat, and it was submitted as evidence. He was convicted and did a stint in jail. The divorce was finalized without a hitch, and I walked away with $90,000 in alimony and our combined savings. Left with nothing, family, money, or a job, I could only guess how Robert would cope post-release. While his mistress avoided jail, the word got out, forcing her to skip town. Rumor has it she's now in the city, living in a shabby apartment, working the late-night scene. I'm in the process of suing her for emotional damage. Meanwhile, I'm still running the business and raising James, with a lot of support and kindness from the community. Lately, James has been saying he wants to work for a car manufacturer when he grows up. I'm all in, doing everything to make that dream a reality. From here on out, it's all about James's happiness and carving out a better future for us.